In this topic, we will be discussing about the basal metazoans. What are the basal metazoan? Basal, as the name indicates, they are coming from the base. These are the organisms that were evolved first, and these are the simplest of the metazoan. Among these, there are the organism of the Porifera and Cnidaria, of which we will be discussing in detail. So this is an introductory lesson in which we will be discussing that what are the next topic which are going to come in the remaining of the module. So in this we have the Parazoa, right? So Parazoa, these are not the true organisms or the true animals. These are sort of having somewhat organization. They are very simplest. So that's why we call them the Parazoans. The Parazoans are metazoans which are composed of multicellular complexes with the few cell types and lack in variation of tissue or organs. So they have the cell types, but these cell types do not combine to make a tissue or an organ. So that means the cellular organization is there and the cells are coordinating somehow with each other, but they do not form the tissue what is tissue? Tissue is the combination of cells and that acts together. But in this, only the cells are there, but they are not having organization of tissue and organs. And the example of these is one of those example is the sponges, which are related to the phylum Porifera, and we will be discussing that. So the Parazoa are the two groups which are Porifera and the Cnidaria, and they form the basal part of the Metazoan tree. So if we see the Metazoa or the whole animal kingdom, the Porifera and the Cnidaria, these come first. They are the simplest and they will be at the basics of any classification that you do, because these are the simplest and these were the first evolved organisms. And they diverged during the Neoproterozoic. So you remember that what is Neoproterozoic? It is just like during the Cambrian explosion or the earlier than that, during the Ediacaran biota. So after the Ediacaran biota has ended, that also ends the Neoproterozoic era as well. So, and after that, there is further diversification of species and further complexity of the species as well. And these are the important parts of the planet reef ecosystem. So you know that there are the Great Coral Reef of Australia, and what are the reefs? Reefs are the different solid materials which are accumulated by the organism, which are either siliceous or calcareous. So these organisms, they have their own skeletons, and when they die, they make some structures, the hard structures on which the other organism can live, and those are called reef ecosystems. And the first one we will be discussing in details are the sponges, which are filter feeding members of sessile benthos. Sessile means they are not moving at all, and benthos, that means they are at the bottom of any water body. For example, it may be lake or it may be the ocean. And they contain a variety of grades of functional organization, and we'll be discussing about that as well. So the sponges reef dominated the Phanerozoic era, and they have the two parts. One is the calcareous grades, another one are the siliceous sponges. The calcareous are made up of calcium carbonate, siliceous are containing the silica, and they are the important, they were the important builder of the coral reef during the Mesozoic era. And then there are the further parts of the sponges, which are the stromatoporids, a grade of organization within the Porifera with a secondary calcareous skeleton, and they are important in reef during the mid-Paleozoic and mid-Mesozoic era. And then there comes the archaeocyats. These are the Cambrian organisms of the sponge grade. So we can find their fossils in the evolutionary history, and they were mainly solitary, and they developed branching modular growth, and they successfully built reefs in the unstable environment. There was, water currents, or there was some instability, but still they were able to grow there. And then the next after the Porifera, there comes the Cnidarian. These are the simplest of the higher metazoans with a radial diploblastic body plan. Radial, I have explained radial symmetry. And the diploblastic means that they are containing ectoderm and endoderm. There is the mesoglea in between, in which there are some cells which are, doing some punctuation there. And there are the having the stinging cells are cnidoblast. And then there are the sea animal. The examples of these are the sea anemones, jellyfish, hydra, along with the corals. And they also make the reef type structures. Reef type structure were already present in the late Precambrian period. If we see the geological history, we can find some reef type structures there. And they hosted large, robust colonial organisms. And how does the reef development takes place? The reef development through the time has waxed and waned. That means it is, sometimes it is increasing, sometimes it is decreasing. So it is not wholly homogeneous through the time. And it is dominated at different times by different group of reef building organism. At one time, a particular organism is making reef. Another time, there will be another organism which will be making reef, and we will be discussing about that as well. And there comes the concept of coloniality. So coloniality, what does the coloniality means? That means ability to make colonies. So the coloniality, that means ability to form colonies, may have been evolved multiple times in our evolutionary history. So one hypothesis suggests that Precambrian colonial organism may have been the source for the bilaterian. So there was a Precambrian organisms, and those Precambrian organisms, combined make a colony, and that colony further evolved to make a multicellular organism, and that has a bilateral symmetry.